Metro trains provide a great way to travel and explore many different cities in this world. In fact, they are convenient, they are fast, and a lot of people prefer using them compared to other modes of transport in many cities around the world. But then you might wonder, what has this got to do with Python? Well, the reason we are discussing this is because our next activity in the WiByte Python curriculum is linked or is inspired from metro trains. We call this activity Metro Map. Now, in order to understand, to sort of visualize this activity, let's imagine you're moved to a new city, in this case, the city of WiByte, and you find out that, well, WiByte city has got two metro lines, a green, an orange line, which is the scratch line, and let's say a blue line, which is the Python line. These two intersect at an interchange called WiByte. Now, you are new to the city, you walk into the station, you want to find out, okay, I want to go from, say, Sprite Land to, let's say, Turtle Park. So I choose my stations correctly. I say, okay, let me try Sprite Land to, say, for example, Turtle Park, and I want to know how much is the fare. So I click on calculate fare. It tells me fare is 160 rupees. Well, the fare calculation right now is very simple, 20 rupees per station. So notice from Spriteland, I go 1, 2, 3, 4 stations to reach the interchange. At this point, I realize that I must switch to the other line and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, four more stations, totally 8 stations, and hence it's 160 rupees. Now, obviously, this can be made more elaborate, but let's take one more example. Let's say I want to start from, say, Turtle Park and go to my blocks, which is another corner of the city. I want to go meet somebody or explore the city. I choose Turtle Park to my blocks. Again, I say calculate fare and tells me 120 rupees this time because it's 1, 2, 3, 4 and let's say 1, 2. So 6 stations. Of course, I can, start and stop at the same line as well. So let's say starting in my blocks, so let's say I want to come back to maybe say costume station. Now this fare is going to be lesser. It's 80 rupees because it's 1, 2, 3, 4 station. I stay on the same line. Really, this is a simple example, but I think this gives an idea. This can be expanded to become quite realistic. What we will do in this project is to build a graphical user interface which will help us navigate a city along its metro map. Now, really, there are two interrelated aspects of this project. One is the graphical, or say the GUI, the graphical user interface aspect, which we will build using Tkinter, which is a module in Python. Now, graphical user interface is something that in today's day and age we are quite used to because we see them all around us. We are going to use Tkinter to create, for example, their interface where we present the lines nicely in a logical manner. We also present those selection menus and buttons so that people can interact with them. Equally important, however, is the computational aspect, which is the logic, the data structures. In fact, the fare computation is really quite interesting, and we find that we need a clean method to handle this, especially as the number of lines in the system increases. We will discuss in these coming videos both the aspects as we go along. We will build this project in a step-by-step manner, and this is very important because this project can appear a little bit overwhelming in the beginning just because there are lots and lots of things that come together in this. However, if we stay systematic, if we move in a step-by-step manner, we'll find that this is not only interesting, this is also quite realistic and can be a great practice for a lot of things that we have been learning. The key learning objectives from this, well, first thing first, we are going to get a basic introduction to Tkinter. Like I said, that's a Python module. We use that to create the GUIs. How do we get started? What is the window? What are the widgets? What are the useful widgets that we are going to use? We are going to see how we can place these widgets on a window in Tkinter. We are going to do a bunch of list manipulations. Those lines, the building of those lines, the calculation of fares are all going to be done by using list operations. In fact, we'll see lists, we'll use multiple lists together for this. And clearly a good amount of programming logic. For example, how do we place these lines and stations on our canvas in a flexible manner so that we can add more and more lines? We have to do computations, like I said, that span across multiple lists, and the complexity of this keeps going up as the project, gets more and more involved. We are also going to look at this statement called the pass statement, which is actually quite useful in Python. In short, there's a lot of learning objectives from this project. Before I wrap this up, let me just give you some realistic examples, some real life examples. September 2023, this is how Bangalore Metro looked. Two lines just like our WiByte Metro, but of course more stations, and the placement of the stations on this diagram has been done in a way that it reflects how the city city topography is. Of course, in future, this is going to get expanded and it's already expanded. Notice that the green line here, you can see it here. The blue line is represented as purple, and more lines are coming up in the future. Now you can clearly see that as the number of lines goes up, the layout of this diagram gets more involved. Also, we see that finding paths becomes more and more involved. A similar thing is seen, for example, in Singapore Metro. In the early 90s, it was, just basically just two lines, quite simple. Compare that with today, right? There's a lot many lines, which means that even to draw this map, a lot more planning goes into it. And then to compute fares, it's more and more involved. So, like I said, a lot of things are going to come together in this. It's extremely logical, extremely realistic, and hence extremely fascinating. I hope this introduction was inspiring enough, was engaging enough for you to go and explore this further. We are going to do that from the next video onwards. But in general, if you think this way of learning programming by building fun activities is something that you enjoy, do look at our website www.wibyte.in, because at WiByte we learn Python programming through such fun activities. Take care. Thank you so much. Bye bye.